Good morning and welcome to 2nd January 2024. And of course, here is wishing all our viewers out there a prosperous new year 2024. My name is Winifred Gbebo, your anchor on today's Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. We have an array of newspapers on our table for your review on this first segment of the show. And as we normally do on the program, we like to flag up with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership's leading story today says Tinubu cuts borrowing, signs 28.7 trillion naira 2024 budget. Tinubu cuts borrowing, signs 28.7 trillion naira 2024 budget. And the riders, deficit lower at 3.8%. NAS vows strict oversight on implementation. It ends controversial ways and means in quote borrowing. And of course, underneath that, we have the picture for that leading headline story as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Mido signs 28.78 trillion 2024 appropriation bill into law in his office. And in the picture, he's flanked by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, third left, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Abubakar Baguju, Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, and other leaders in the both House of Reps and Senate. We move up to the business column where we have 2024 stakeholders expect consolidation of economic reforms. 2024 stakeholders expect consolidation of economic reforms. That story is on the business boss of Leadership. Plateau killings, Governor Mutfwang declares 7-day mourning. Plateau killings, Governor Mutfwang declares 7-day mourning. The story continues on page 7 of Leadership. Residents flee as magnitude 7.6 earthquake hits Japan. 2024, Wike promises robust policy in FCT. Let's forget the past. Ayedatiwa tells Ondo residents. PDP demands account of nation's earnings. You can see that story on page 16 of Leadership. And just above the masthead, Esunupe has on investment to tackle unemployment. Why Prof. Fubara Speaker resigned vacated seat. The story is on page 7 of Leadership newspaper. With that, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Our stand is the permanent fixture on the paper. It is the editorial stance of the paper, and our stand today is on the long wait for Nigeria's oil refineries continues. The long wait for Nigeria's oil refineries continues. That's the our stand on page 3 of Leadership today. From our stand, we move to the back page of the paper where we have Tuesday column with Ray Murphy. Ray Murphy is writing on 2024 budget. Is this what Nigeria needs at this time? Find out what Nigeria needs and what the column is all about. So with that, we move over to the next paper. But just before we go, for more stories on this continuation of headline stories, log on to the website of Leadership, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, this day is next. This day is still on budget story. Tinubu signs 28.7 trillion naira budget, elated by 100 billion naira approved for school feeding nationwide. Tinubu signs 28.7 trillion naira budget, elated by 100 billion naira approved for school feeding nationwide. Mandates MDAs to provide monthly performance reports. Budget focused on growing nation's economy, says Edun. Government to rely less on borrowing, more on revenue to fund budget. Bagudu is game. We ensure proper implementation of 2024 Appropriation Act, Akpabio declares. The story continues on page 9 of this day. And just like Leadership, we also have the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signing the appropriation 2024 Appropriation Act into budget into law. Above that, we have PDP knocks budget, says its harvest of deceit, empty claims. describes Tinubu's New Year address as admission of failure. Labour dismisses his speech as arrogant display of dishonesty. Atiku, federal government's commitment to eliminate security threat will stem attacks in Nigeria. Federal government's commitment to eliminate security threat will stem attacks in Nigeria. The story continues on page 9 of This Day. And above the masthead of This Day, Adelabu, federal government working at cost reflective electricity tariff implementation program, says ministry collaborating with NSA's office on power access vandalism. Lokbobiri, Nigeria's era of self-sufficiency in energy production is here. And Alake says 163,878 Nigerians enjoyed federal government's transportation rebate in 10 days. The story continues on page 10 of This Day newspaper. For more, log on to the website of This Day, www.thisdaylive.com. From This Day, same budget story on The Nation. Nation says perform on budget or get sacked. Presidency wants. Perform on budget or get sacked. President wants. There is no room for poor performance. MDAs to provide monthly budget performance reports. 28.78 trillion naira 2024 Appropriation Act to run concurrently with 2023 extra budget. And on the strip, we have Governor's clerics raise hope in New Year messages. First Lady visits Zach Orji. Yes, Zach Orji, Nollywood actor, is said to be in critical condition in National Hospital over the weekend. Still on some leading stories on the Nation, we have PDP Labour Party in battle over opposition role. Labour Party lacks basis to claim top spot. Dangote refinery gets fourth crude assignment. Elia pardons 12 inmates. Plateau killings a genocide, Muftwang claims. Week of money begins. 163,878 travelers benefit from transportation fare rebate in 10 days. While my detractors are unrelenting by Fubara. Nova merchant to begin commercial banking. You can find out more on page 7 of The Nation newspaper. For more, log on to the website of The Nation. From The Nation, we move over to The Guardian. Still same similar story on budget. And The Guardian says, deficit execution concerns over expanded 28.8 trillion naira budget. Deficit execution concerns expanded 28.8 trillion naira budget. On the polls, Ayedatiwa warns politicians against acts of violence, calumny. Uriwa queries promotion of generals amid insecurity. There is news page 28 for the story. New Year, 44 emails get amnesty in Taraba, Nasarawa. PDP orders for Tinubu's pledges demand concrete actions against hardship. Federal government not committed to agreements with Labour, NLC claims. Nigerian startups borrow $415 million in 10 years as equity funding falters. Fubara vows to retain Rivers governorship mandate. Monarch writes Tinubu over 3,050 megawatts Mabila hydropower dispute. The story continues on page 28 of The Guardian. For more, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we have The Punch. Punch says Tinubu New Year broadcast. APC defends federal government as Labour warns against failed promises. PDP tax speech, harvest of deceit. NLC TUC say Nigerians tired of failed promises. APC lapons PDP, Labour Party urges Nigerians to disregard mischievous opposition. President signs budget as National Assembly raises lawmakers' allocation to 344 billion naira. Terror attacks on farmers will cause food shortage, military. Hoodlums kill Lagos police officer in Adamawa. Family of detained UK-based Nigerian blogger seeks justice. Federal government insists on electricity subsidy amid tariff review. Dangote refinery gets fresh 1 million crude barrels. Christmas Eve massacre not farmer header conflict. Governor insists. This story it continues on page 17 of the Punch. And of course, for more continuation of these headline stories, log on to the website of the Punch, www.punchng.com. From the Punch, we move over to the last paper on our menu today, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun's leading story says Pope wades into plateau attacks. Governor declares 1 week mourning. Catholic pontiff describes killings in Nigeria harrowing. Mounts prayer for country. Killings reminder of fragile peace in country. Can 400 killed from April to December, says Governor Mutwang. Apply civil war strategy on terrorists. Anglican bishop tells federal government. Labour Party now Nigeria's main opposition party. Obi. Dangote refinery receives 1 million barrels of crude oil. High expectations as Tinubu signs 2024 budget into law. President's New Year speech admission of failure, says PDP Labour Party. First Lady Remi Tinubu supports efforts to separate co-joint twins in National Hospital. Welcomes first baby of year in FCT. Federal government extends 2023 supplementary budget until March. NSITF to expand social security net in 2024. And of course, the last story on today's Daily Sun cover is Northern Elders Forum rates Tinubu above Buhari in fight against banditry. So this sums up today's first segment of the show's newspaper review on Inside Nigeria. For the second segment of the show, my guest Hashim Suleiman is in the house. Don't go away. My name is Winifred Bebo. Stay tuned for the second part of the program.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Is Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. And my name is Winifred Bebo. And of course, we have our Monday guest, incidentally, in the house. He is no other person than Dr. Aliu Elias. He's a political economist. He's also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for making our time.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. Now we are in 2024. Happy New Year.
Same here.
So how did you receive this New Year, 2024?
It's the year of the new hope. That's what we want to target now. But we are having
hope. Yes, but what a way to begin the year. We Nigerians were awakened with the report that about how many was added to the appropriation bill, which is now a law. From 27.7 trillion naira, we Nigerians are hoped that the National Assembly added 1 trillion naira more to it. What are your thoughts exactly?
It is expected, but not the level of 1.2 trillion that was added to 28.877 now. However, it's normal. It is part of their right to see how you budgeted and how they can really work it out. If you also look at the benchmark, they actually jack one up from 75 to 80. You know, looking at that, you know, they are much more informed too, because they also have people that are on the ground. However, the increment also comes to their favor too. But look at it, they also increase their own budget.
That is what we are saying.
They also increase their own budget.
Just for them. Of
so
course, although they claim that it's for their legislative aids, about 224 billion naira out of it is for their.
For them to have even include their audit, why don't they tell the why, you know, they have what is called National Assembly Commission. They also prepared that, but why is the budget not inclusive in that commission? It should have been there, but it's not their own habit of increasing the budget to their own favor. However, our challenge is not the budget anymore now. We just look at the implementation. I also want to salute them. It's not easy. You know, the budget came very, very late, and they still make sure they actually work that to maintain January to December. They must have sleepless nights too.
Yes, but in the budget, part of what was added to it is the sum of 100 billion naira approved for school feeding nationwide. Now, this school feeding program, how realistic it is? How effective has it been? Because during the last COVID lockdown, the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadia. No, I'm talking about the former Sadia. Did tell Nigerians that even during the lockdown, that day the ministry was feeding school children still at home. And you know, how feasible was that? How possible was that? Nigerians never get to hear how they were able to carry it out. Now, so many thoughts have arisen out of this school feeding program. We even saw videos of how poor feeding, how these puppies were being fed poorly.
You know, the challenges of Nigeria is not planning but implementation. Because you recall that there is not enough maybe information about how they are able feeding these people. Because if you are feeding Nigerians, let's be open. You know, show us the register. Perhaps remember that we must have feed people for about 8 years, because during President Buhari, throughout his tenure, these people that you are feeding must have moved from primary school to secondary school by now.
But many people, Nigerians,
so we need to reflect see
it as a conduit for this government officials to.
Anything that is not transparent enough is a conduit pipe for corruption, and that's the problem. If you will also recall that when the Beta Edu emerged as the minister, he also condemned a lot of things. In fact, he has to put on hold some N-Power money. He also have to fight some banks who have that money but did not release the money. So Nigeria is a funny country that everybody wants to take advantage of the office. So they have to make it open. And that's my concern for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He said he has appointed Adiza for KPI measurement. They should do KPI on not only the ministry, even the agency. And for if it's very, very open, Nigeria will benefit, because for the past 8 years, we don't see results. So we want to result. How many people have you moved from poverty to a better life? Now it is getting deeper. It's even called multidimensional poverty now. So if you want to do proper school feeding, even the school feeding itself, what's the aim? Is it for the child to study well, or is it for the parents to be able to take care of the child? So you have to do one. Is either you make sure you empower this parent for parents to be able to train the child very well, or you want to take care of these children, take it holistically and do it very well.
Yes. I'm talking about the education sector. How, because we still have reports, we still see photos of students learning under trees, learning in deplorable situations, and yet the 100 billion naira is being approved for school feeding
For
nationwide. Just like
our-
what you said, if you want to, can is it not better for you to show up the educational system than feeding them in an atmosphere that is devoid of all this?
The fact just remains that subnational is our problem. If you have a functional subnational, if our states are functioning well and local government are functioning well, because if you look at those schools, they are in the purview of the state and the local government. So until we have that autonomy that give local government to take what belongs to them and spend it within what they need to spend, we will still continue to have a problem. Because you remember even President Muhammad Buhari signed an executive order to give local government autonomy. But upon that, we don't see it working. So it's a serious issue that President Tinubu, if he actually want development for education and for our rural community, he should make sure that he have a functional 774 local government. That will engender and bring about development.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, 2024 is here, and many Nigerians are expressing hope, while some are expressing are pessimistic about 2024. And the president made a speech on New Year's Day to herald the year. So, what do you think of the president's speech?
Well, having listened to president's speech, I would like to align myself with PDP report about it. That you stop giving us
that is empty.
Yes, stop giving us this information. We want to see things working. Now, I got to know this weekend that now Abuja now have one CNG filling stations.
Okay.
So we want double of this. That's what we want. Let us see you practicalizing those things. Now he said he understand Nigeria is suffering. It's not you understanding. Also do something that will move us from this level.
The president was in his home state, Lagos, and of course he had a video that trended.
Yes.
When people were saying that they are hungry.
Exactly, that's the meaning of being power. People say they are hungry, and that's a good thing you can't take away from Lagos. Lagos is a cosmopolitan city that you don't have only Yoruba. You have different people, and they always see that. And I was glad in that in his own. In fact, that place they made that mention is about 20 minutes to his own residence.
Okay.
So for you to see how close it is, and they are still telling him that, oh, president, we are actually hungry. And if you ask me to, as much as he has long time plan for Nigeria, during this short period, people are definitely hungry. Fuel subsidy has bring a lot of hardship to Nigerians. You agree with me that that's the only thing common Nigerians are benefiting from. You have taken it away. Transport has increased, food has increased, everything has skyrocketed. So it's a problem. So I think with that language, he too would have understood, and perhaps he will also stop going to public places now because of what has just happened.
But it's so I don't know the word to use anyway, because it's strange that for a position that you wanted to occupy for years, I think they didn't have proper planning in place. Because during the campaign, we all had the presidential aspirants of some of these of the major parties saying that they were going to remove fuel subsidy. So it was not President Bola Ahmed Tinubu alone that did make that promises. But one would have expected that he would have also had in place solution to stem the crisis or the hardship that will arise from that fuel subsidy removal. But unfortunately, many Nigerians are knocking him still that he didn't have enough.
Well, if you ask me, I will have little challenge with this present government. Everything they are doing is in a rush. Let me take it to the last one.
Yes.
They want to create 50% reduction for transport. Just conceive it in how many minutes, and it was given. And even those people that you are giving, that you say they should do that transport reduction, they didn't even understand the concept. I recall I went to garage myself to find out. One of them said from Abuja to Lagos 51,000 naira. Okay, what about the 50%? They said you have to pay first. They will now start finding out.
Galake is saying that 163,878 Nigerians enjoyed federal government's transportation rebate.
Look at this number. Just look at this number compared to Nigeria. That is for the whole. So is this even enough for a state?
Maybe it's only these ones that just.
Is it even enough for a state? Let alone the totality. Look at this number now. People that travel from Abuja to Owerri only, are they not more than this? So these are the challenges we have. So everything they are doing is just in a rush. I expect them to have channeled this money to filling station. Go and buy as a transport company. Go to any filling station, pay half or pay so that would have direct implementation. They would have gotten the fuel, and they would have transfer the reduction to passengers. Not that because some of them are even scared of getting their money back. So if you look at those policies, if you look at also removal of first subsidy. President Muhammad Buhari has planned a lot of things, but he couldn't achieve it. Why don't you add 6 months? Make sure those things are effective. But the joy is that he said we should be hopeful that Port Harcourt refinery and Dangote will be functional.
I was actually coming to that, talking about refinery of fuel subsidy. Dangote refinery gets fresh 1 million crude barrels. This is cheering news because in December we were told that he also received the first batch of the barrels to be supplied to him. So what impact are we going to be expecting in 2024? So it's not going to be hardship anyway.
The question is this: will this reflect in the cost of buying fuel? That's the first thing.
But at least landing cost will be taken off.
Okay, so if landing cost is taken off, are they going to transfer? Remember Dangote is a businessman. Then the Port Harcourt is Nigerian owned. So we want to see, because there's no sign that is going to reduce the cost. That's what we want to see. Because by the time we are buying fuel at 650 on average. It's only NPC that is selling it 670. 650 on average. Tell us that by the time they start the refinery, we are going to buy at 400 naira. That's what Nigeria want to listen to. That it is available and is not reflecting in our pocket, it's a problem. Remember that all this has eroded the purchasing power of Nigerians, because we now spend more on transport, spend more on goods and services. So it's a cheering news that it's coming up. We've been waiting, but let it reflect on our day-to-day expenses. That's what we actually want. Perhaps they should not stop at Port Harcourt. They should also continue to work on refinery and Kaduna. You know why? The Port Harcourt that you are fixing, I listened to someone on TV who said that it's not even the best one. They should have done the other one. That's not the question. Make sure you fix others. So by the time this one have challenge, you can have some another to cushion the effect of the damage. So these are the things that we actually need.
Okay, thank you so much. So a lot also has happened last year, right during the Christmas, just before Christmas celebration. We had report of plateau killings. So many, and of course, as of today, the toll has risen to 200, while the governor has declared 7-day mourning. There has been counter punches being thrown at security, while the security is also laying blame on I don't know. So what is actually happening in Nigeria?
You see,
Daily Sun says Pope waits into plateau attacks as governor declares 1 week mourning.
You could see that critical killing is one too many, and right from April they have accounted for like over 400, and they are still counting. So the thing is that it's becoming non-kinetic issue, because when you have a distress call of about 36 communities being attacked at the same time,
and there are reports that the military was also called upon, but the military did not.
But even the chief of army staff actually mentioned it, that before they could respond, it takes some times. But the thing is this: we have failed to work on our intelligence.
And the military,
where's our DSS?
I read the report that even at the beginning they said it was 16. They declared only 16 killed. But it was at the end of the day when the committee said no, after the body count, they now had to own up to.
You see, the problem is that we are undermining the issue of DSS. You know that these things is a plan. And if we have appropriate people, and the issue is that now is that army is taking over what police and DSS should be doing. So until we now come back and say, okay, police is closer to people at every community, you agree with me, there is always a police post. So what are they actually? And in a state you have JTF, it's a lot of tax force and a lot of them.
Why can't they change? Because these are people that were there during Buhari, because during President Muhammad Buhari's administration, that's when we had most of these community killings, which was
one of the survivors actually said he identified some people. I don't know if you saw that guy, and I was not happy that they even show his face. He said he identified some people that actually came to kill them in that. That there are people they actually, so some things could be. There's some secret that we are not seeing.
We are not seeing that somehow that the military or the security, they actually fold their arms and watch this mayhem taking place, and at the end of the day, they just
and 36 community, no one could be foiled. That's called for
nobody they will just condole and things go normal. So why is it that these perpetrators are never brought to book?
Well, federal government needs to change their tactics. We have to go beyond kinetic and to non-kinetic, because if
and redeploy, maybe change. There should be a change in the security
I think
apparatus in those
very,
states,
very,
because
and the
we
governor
cannot continue
too,
to have
the
things.
governor too should also maybe perhaps reduce the way he talks about all these things and do more of action. Now he complain every time. What are you actually
But
doing?
we also had the same thing with the former governor Lalong.
So that's just the issue. So I think that little killing is getting out of hand, and this is affecting even Nigerian productivity. Remember that Plateau as a state is a farming community, as a state is a farming community. Nigeria is also suffering from, because they cannot go to their farmland. They can't do a lot of. In fact, you could see that people are moving out of those local areas to the city center. So it's a big issue that federal government must look for a way of taming this.
And you can be sure that after Plateau killings, the next thing we'll heard again is Benue killings. And of course, one would have expected security to be tightened around this area, but we are not still going to have
this
that.
area is even problematic area.
Yes,
there's no way
that
you should
is
leave it.
Plateau, Benue,
Even Kaduna,
Taraba, yes, and Kaduna.
So these are where you must be there 1247 and be alert.
And yet, we are supposed to tighten security around those areas, but we are still not having that.
And this our set of military head, they are new, so I expect them to have that spirit, to also. And no one person was caught. It's a sad one. So did they disappear to thin air? Exactly. That is the problem. So I don't know, even our satellites, and they're not functioning, because I expect once there's any attack, you flag off your satellite and look at that area where they are passing. But we are still going through local manual. We need to change.
And we expect those that are buried there to just carry on, and people in the community, as if that's just what Yuriwa is saying. Queries promotion of generals amid insecurity.
We have issue of promotion of generals. I think that level is too. The people are too many in that area. So there's a way we need to reduce it, so to even bring more professionalism. We can't have this number of generals and we are still suffering this type of attacks every now and then. So they need to change their tactics and look into those places. And funny enough, you go to Plateau now, from every one place to the other, you see checkpoints. So what is the essence of those checkpoints? Exactly. You cannot even apprehend or arrest any of these perpetrators. How do they pass? These are the problems we need to answer.
All right, thank you so much. Now, just before we go, last week, December 27th, a lot also happened. Just in one day, we lost the former Speaker of House of Representatives, Gali Umar Nahaba. We also lost the governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, after a protracted illness. Now, a lot has happened, and of course, that same day, we had the Deputy Governor, Lucky Ayedatiwa, being sworn in as Governor of Ondo State. So, I want to ask you, so what are you expecting from Lucky? As his name implies, he has been lucky. This is somebody that was going through so much.
You look at his three names.
Yes.
One is Lucky. Two, Orimisan. It has a good meaning that my head, and Ayedatiwa means the word is my own. I think he's a child of Lucky, and that three name actually work. However, he's not the first person to succeed a governor that died. No. You remember, is it Buratai? Yeah. Buratai died in Taraba. We also have Patrick Yakowa. Sontai. We also have Patrick Yakowa from Kaduna. Yes. We also have President.
Was it Yobe also? We also
Kaduna. So we also have former President Yaradua that succeeded. I think it is that Yaradua that made them to change the law. Well, for me, I think the polity has come down now because some people do not want Ayedatiwa to. So because it also have 1 year for election in that state. Yes. So a lot of politics and intrigues are coming into to play. But for now, it is now Ayedatiwa opportunity and tenure. So they must also try to understand and follow his governance. And for me, I also see President Tinubu playing a lot of role, which I think will be playing role everywhere. There's sometimes that you need to allow the law to actually work and be supremacy when it comes to issue. For Ayedatiwa, where I think he must find way to perform, because from the look of things also, he may also want to contest again. That's another thing. So those elements that do not want him to come are also now is challenged. So you need to do more to perform. Then that's a lesson for our political leader also. Please, this governance, take it, hold it. There's a way you hold it that when it comes to that, because if this man has actually give him power on time, there would have been a lot of issues. So we should have way of giving. God give power and God take it. There's nothing. Now God has actually done what He decided to do. There's nothing we can do. So those political gladiators need to take to Tinubu because he's now the full-fledged governor. They have to listen to him.
Now talking about state governors, we are still having the issue of tension playing out in Rivers State with Fubara and his erstwhile godfather Wike. And yesterday there were reports that the speaker, that Fubara speaker, resigned and vacated the seat.
Well, I think it's very, very uncommon to see people resign from speaker and also vacate the seat. That's given for by-election in his local government. However, maybe I don't want to preempt why he decided to do that, but I think it's better for perhaps it could be the sacrificial lamb.
Yes, I just think that maybe the guy just could not take the tension that's coming out. He doesn't want to be torn.
He could even have a with the governor, and the governor said, this is what you do, I'll plan. Perhaps, Tinubu can also still give him federal appointment. So a lot of things, in politics, you can't just say this is the reason. So they must have used him as a sacrificial lamb to give room for the other parts to
that is the speaker that was on the side of Fubara.
That's what I'm saying. So they said all the.
But however, even with the truth signed by Fubara, many of those points are yet to be effected. Talking about withdrawing of court processes against those defected lawmakers. Because PDP is still adamant on declaring their seats vacant.
But it's crystal clear that the power of Wike has also reduced to an extent.
But many people actually flay that Tinubu's peace offering to Fubara, in the sense that Fubara has so much to lose. Those points.
Those points, yeah.
Yes. For instance, they asked the defected lawmakers to return back to their party. It allowed it to.
Well, perhaps, as a politician, he's also expecting Fubara to join APC someday.
Yes, I heard that is part of what is actually causing.
That is
the face-off between him and
Wike.
That he should.
Then, for me, I think if you ask me, I think Fubara shouldn't allow it to really degenerate to this level. It was too early for him because you need to get some grip of maybe 2 years, or maybe after first time you can now have your own say. So sometimes you need to be strategic in terms of, and that's another problem that I pray it will not happen in Kogi too. You see, people want to be godfather. Look at Yaya Bello and Ododo. I think by this month, maybe 27th, power will shift to Ododo. Will Ododo also take to all what his godfather is telling him? Will Godfather also tolerate Ododo to an extent, knowing that he's now the full-fledged governor? That's where we need to balance our politics in Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much. That is our takeaway from today's Inside Nigeria, balancing our politics in Nigeria. Of course, I've had the pleasure of having my modern guest, who incidentally is in the studio today to share his thoughts. The political economist is also public affairs analyst, Adil Elias. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Coming today. And my name is Winifred Ugwebo. Until I come your way, same time, same station tomorrow. Please wishing you a beautiful day. See you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 08036886158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.